Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play the Dagger of Amon. Last time we discovered President Carrington's dead body impaled on his stuffed porcupine, and in his dying throes he wrote a little message that led us to a police file of one conman, Watney Little, and this police file was from Scotland Yard over in the UK. Now, what President Carrington's connection is with this Watney Little, we do not know, but if there's one person involved with police files, that would be Detective O'Reilly. And we also cracked a little scheme going on between the Countess, the President, and Ziggy of art forgery and thievery. But more on that later. Trust me, I'll do sort of a recap once we end off this act. Anyway, actually, I went back a little bit because I had a heck of a time getting Ernie to show up in his office, but here he is, because I want to ask him some stuff. And like I said, I went back, I believe this is before the conversation they listened on with Yvette and Dr. Smith about the stain on the rug. So, let's ask him some questions. Maybe he'll enlighten us a little bit more.
If that fellow were any more full of himself, he'd rise up and float away like a hot air balloon. The way he carries on, you'd think he discovered Atlantis.
Well, he's dead, so I'm sure some gases are forming inside his body, but I doubt they'll carry him off.
Well, I don't see the gent too often. We working class folks don't see the big guys too often, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you haven't really seen very much of him either, just like everyone else.
Oh, I guess he's an okay fella, for a cop. I do wish he'd stop leaving those grape stems all over the place, though.
Dang dude is obsessed with grapes.
Now there's a Weasley little fella. I've heard he's a stool pigeon. That's a dangerous way to make a living.
You're one to talk, Mr. Fence.
Dr. Miklos is a strange bird, but she's a decent sort all the same. I see her a lot at night working late. Sometimes she invites me in for coffee. She certainly is taken with the plate in my head. She must have looked at the scars a dozen times.
So Dr. Miklos, you're just the groundskeeper and she invites you in for coffee. I really like Dr. Miklos. I can't express that enough. She's a weirdo, but I really like her.
Miss Delacroix is a wonderful lady, Miss Bo. A delight to work for.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
That fella gives me the willies. He's always hanging around, looking over my shoulder with those suspicious eyeballs of his. Also, to tell you the ugly truth, I just haven't trusted the Germans since the war. That Kaiser guy was a real high hat.
You fought in the Great War, Mr. Leach?
Yes, I did, Miss Bo. I came back with a plate in my head and a chest full of medals, and then I couldn't get a job to save my soul.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Welcome to the 1920s.
Oh, don't let it bother you, Miss Bo. I'm just jawing. I'm doing fine now.
Yeah, you are. You're, groundskeeper for such a prestigious museum. That's not too bad.
The Countess is a quite colorful old dame, isn't she? I can't help liking her.
Why? Probably because you two have some common interests.
He's a quiet little fella. I think he does some accounting for the museum. Seems nice enough. Well, he's an intense sort of a gent. He's all bent out of shape about this dagger business, and he hangs around Dr. Carter a lot. He looks ready to blow a blood vessel to me.
That's kind of true.
Our local cops are okay, I guess. They never give me too much of a hard time. I've heard there are some bad apples on the force, though. At least it isn't as bad as Chicago.
So you come from Chicago. Yeah, there can be some bad policemen.
I'm not fond of the docks myself, Miss Bo. I did a short stint over there a couple of years back. I got treated like a dog and nearly got squashed flat by a huge crate of oranges one time. No, thank you. At first, I wasn't sure I'd like it here in this big spooky old place. But it was so peaceful at night, and there's so many interesting things everywhere. I really enjoy it now.
Mr. Leach, has 1926 been a good year for you?
Yes and no, Miss Bo. Times are tough, but at least I've got this job at the museum. That's more than a lot of folks have.
Do you like your job here at the museum?
Yes, I do. This sort of work doesn't really tax my brains, if you know what I mean. It gives me time to think.
Think about what, Mr. Leach?
You sure act like a reporter, Miss Bo.
You do seem like a nice enough fellow, but that doesn't change the fact that you are a robber and a gambling addict.
Mr. Leach, do you have any idea who might have taken the Dagger of Amon Ra?
I sure don't. Well, I halfway wonder if it wasn't one of those Egyptian fellas. They probably think I took it.
Was the dagger well guarded?
Oh, sure. It was locked up tighter than a drum. Somebody really pulled a fast one.
Oh man, but you did have access to the museum. Let me see, do we actually have the dagger at this point? No, I didn't get the dagger at this point.
Mr. Leach, can you let me out of this museum? I don't like it in here.
Yeah, he does have the key.
People keep dying.
Sorry, Miss Bo. I seem to have lost my door keys.
Oh, I find that very disturbing.
Me too. I can't even let myself out of the building. We're all staying here until I find those keys.
That is not good. That is very, very bad. Oh my. Well, nothing else we can do here. I'm actually going to continue on. Do the things that are shown on screen, and then show some other things that I forgot to show. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and this is the part right after we listen to Yvette and Dr. Smith's conversation about the rug stain. So what you want to do is actually want to look in that fireplace, and then
pick it up and place.
Take a piece of charcoal. Now, remember how I was telling you before about the meeting between Dr. Tut Smith and Dr. Carrington or not Dr. Tut Smith, Dr. Carter, that was supposed to happen in the exhibit at a certain time? I never actually showed you how we're supposed to know that because I forgot how to actually get this little thing, but remember Dr. Pippin Carter's notepad was blank and only had tracings of what was written on there last. Rub the charcoal on there.
Rubbing the charcoal over the notepad has made the imprint readable. Yvette, 8 o'clock, Egyptian rum. Tut, 10:15, Egyptian rum. Carrington, 11 o'clock, his office.
So that's interesting. He was supposed to meet Yvette in the Egyptian room at 8 o'clock, and it seems like it was around that time that he was murdered. That is interesting. And also, he was supposed to meet President Carter here at 11 for some reason, but I don't know why that was, and we won't ever find out, because they're both dead. Huh. And you can guess who has the keys that Ernie was talking about. I forgot to really talk about those, but you can guess that remember that the Countess was let in, and I'm guessing that she was let in by either President Carrington or Ziggy himself. Well, anyway, I'm going to just keep going along, and the next thing that I want to do is meet you right after our little conversation with the Countess. But before she walks away, because there's one thing in that tiny little time span that you want to ask her. It is very important to ask her, so I'll meet you there. Okay, so there's there's like a second or two where you get a chance to ask her this question. And hopefully I will be able to get that thing down to her and click on her before she goes, because I've missed this part before. Alright, got her. Now remember, I asked her about the diary before, and she said she knew nothing about it, but if you ask her at this very moment...
I saw an interesting diary in Carrington's wall safe. It belonged to Sterling Waldorf Carlton, your former husband.
Little Extras said,
My
haha.
dear Sterling's diary. What did you do with it?
Well, I left it in the safe for the police to find.
You didn't read it, did you?
Yes, actually I did. It had some interesting things to say about you.
Lies! All lies! I loved that man. I still love him, despite what he did to his will. Dear Sterling made me a rich woman. Or he's going to as soon as the will problems are cleared up.
Oh, boy.
Sterling seemed to think you wanted to kill him for his money.
Lies! Nonsense! Lies!
Apparently Yvette is afraid of you too. Sterling mentioned her as well.
Yvette! That little trollop! So that's who he was seeing behind my back. She must be the one who made him start changing his will.
I don't know. I just know what I read in his diary.
Oh! I'm starting to feel faint.
Perhaps you should lie down somewhere and compose yourself. We'll talk more later.
Yes, good idea.
And don't try to leave the museum tonight. I'm sure Detective O'Reilly would be interested in hearing what I know about you.
I'm sure he would, dear girl. Don't worry. I'm sure we'll talk some more.
Oh, is that... She doesn't seem too worried about Detective O'Reilly. But she seemed kind of threatening to us. Alright. Anyway, something you actually want to do, yes, you have to look at the body again here. Now you notice there's wires sticking out. We have wire cutters.
While this is an...
You want to?
You pick it up and place it in your purse.
This is another thing that you really, really want to do. Because, you don't, bad things may happen. Oh, what's going on? Okay, walk. There we go. Be a bit buggy. Now, where I want to go is back downstairs. We now have that key. And there's a little something it goes to. Down here. Now hopefully Dr. Miklos is out of the little preservation lab room that's right here. Actually there's something, because I redid this part, there's something I want to do. Let's press this button again, I forgot to redo that.
When you push the...
Alright, yeah, we heard it. And now I can show you what that does. It opens up this passage right here. And I'll just tell you right now, there's no use showing you. This passage will lead up to Dr. Carrington, or President Carrington's office. But if you enter it, let me show you. So let's go in there and see what happens. Something bad happens. Oh, so yeah, you're killed by bad guys, yeah. Never enter a dark passage without light. Shouldn't you have learned that by now, Laura? Anyway, what you're supposed to do is go into your inventory and actually click your hand icon on the lantern, which turns it on, but I don't need to do that for now. What we want to do... Oh, hey Daisy. How you doing? What you sniffing at there? Is that a steamer trunk down there? Dr. Miklos did say that the ferret was quite interested in what's in there. Well, let's open her up.
This trunk is locked.
And in comes the skeleton key. So, let's check out what is inside the trunk. Oh my. Yeah, if you've ever seen the mummy, you're familiar with those Egyptian beetles that eat flesh. So we have to do something about those things before we can actually look inside the trunk, and there's a good reason they're in there. Okay, so what you want to do is actually look in here. There's a little freezer here, and
A slab of meat which smells ripe, veins of rancid fat forming abscesses that ooze copious amounts of pus run through the decomposed cut of beef. Yum, just like Mom used to make.
let's take
You
it.
pick it up and place it in your purse.
But something funny you can do, if you actually if you just take it out and run into the Countess, you can show it to her, and the Countess will like shriek. But I'm not gonna use up time showing that off. But I want to look at. First, I want to see what's in this bag.
It's a sack of plaster, sometimes used for making molds.
Interesting. Keep that in mind. So let's try this again. And go into your inventory, take out the meat. And they march off with it. All too happy. Now we can look inside the trunk.
Oh!
Oh dear. Yeah, you remember at the very, very beginning of the game that a man was strangled and put into a trunk? Here's his skeleton. Those bugs were placed in there to eat his flesh, to make him unrecognizable.
A skeleton lies in the trunk, its bones picked clean by the domestic beetles. They've efficiently removed every last shred of flesh, making the skeleton nearly impossible to identify.
Maybe there's a clue, though. Let's get out a magnifying glass. There's a pocket watch.
It appears to be a gold pocket watch.
Let's open it up and take a look.
A close look reveals an inscription on the watch. To Dr. Archibald Carrington III, for your years of dedicated service, many thanks from your staff at the British Museum.
Now, wait a minute. Hold the phone. Dr. Archibald Carrington? That's right.
You pick it up and place it in your purse.
This is the skeleton of Dr. Archibald Carrington. Or should I say President Archibald Carrington of the museum. So herein lies the question. Who is the man who's been pretending to be the president? The man traipsing around, acting like President Carrington. If you haven't guessed it already, it is the man we read in this file right here. The con man, Watney Little. I will explain more about this at a later point. But for now, let's move on. We have this snake oil here.
A full bottle of Dr. Moribund's guaranteed snake oil.
Now, once more, this is something very, 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 very important that you take.
You pick it up and place it in your purse.
Once again, you'll get near the end of the game, think you're all free and clear, then you'll need that, and you won't have it. And it will suck for you. I can tell you that much. Oh, man. Alright. Oh. What's going on? They open the door and they just march out with that piece of meat. They seem right chuffed about that. And yes, I just used a British term. Anyway, I believe...
You hear muffled voices coming through the door to Yvette's office.
Of course, as usual. Who's she banging this time?
You lied to me.
Well, lass, I guess that makes us even. You lied to me.
You had something to do with the dagger burglary.
You've been sleeping with someone else. I saw you go off with that dock worker.
I've never slept with Steve, and the Ziggy fellow, he told me about you and the dagger.
Wait, what?
And you believe that little weasel. I've arrested the man more times than I can count.
The Ziggy, I know him a long time. He would not lie to me.
That man'd lie to his own mother if someone paid him for it.
Ziggy, he says you were working with the Carrington to steal the dagger.
Lies! You can't be trusting the man. If he wasn't already dead, I'd pound the truth out of him.
Maybe you already did.
Were you sleeping with the little rat then?
Of course not.
You really surprise me, lass. I'd think you grew up on the streets accusing me of burglary like that.
Where I grew up doesn't matter, does it? The important thing is... Wait, did you hear something at the door?
Oh no.
Yeah, I was hearing it too. Keep your voice down then.
They heard us. We weren't even making any sound. Anyway, what about Detective O'Reilly and the dagger? Oh my. This is not getting good. Detective O'Reilly does not seem happy. Goodness. Alright. Oh yeah, we wanted to meet someone. There was a 2 a.m. meeting that was going to go on in the armor room. Remember, we overheard Dr. Miklos over the intercom in Wolf's study. So once more, let's do our usual thing. Aha! I still haven't been able to talk to Wolf Heimlich, and there's supposed to be a certain time where he's in his office and you can talk to him. I've never been able to find him in his office. I know you can, I've seen videos.
Your facial scars are so wonderful.
But I can't promise you I'll be able to do it.
Fencing, my Strudel. As a young man, I would dance with my Heidelberg friends. We would stop our opponent's saber just before it went through our faces.
Oh,
which would make the scars you see now.
not very safe.
Ah, that is very interesting. You did not use masks to protect your faces?
9. That would have been considered unmanly.
You'll have to show me how to do that sometime.
There are many things that I can show you, my Strudel.
Perhaps we should go somewhere less public, Wolfie.
Oh yeah, good idea. Particularly since there's that annoying reporter wandering around the museum. That is not something I would have allowed if I was running things here.
Give it time, Wolfie. Perhaps you will be running things here someday, if I have anything to say about it.
Oh? What can you do?
There are ways, but come, let us speak of these things in more privacy.
Well, didn't get much out of that weird conversation. But okay.
Questions are...
Darn. What could go worse in this game? Oh no. Ernie. No. Ernie Leach is dead, but, this time around his manner of death is not quite obvious.
The fabric of the shirt appears to be clinging somewhat to Ernie's chest. Ernie's head lolls back limply. Ernie's pants appear to be clinging somewhat to his legs. Ernie's shoes are intact, yet strangely dark and damp-looking.
I wonder why that is.
This arm is flung out to the side as if to say, I'm completely limp. Ernie's arm is draped over a tusk in a casual pose. If he weren't dead, he'd look like an ad for menswear.
That's a disturbing thought. Let's take out our magnifying glass, figure out what's going on.
Despite your closest examination, you find nothing
Okay. What's this?
The hairs are bristled and clearly animal in origin, with a faint smell of alcohol.
Animal hairs with a faint smell of alcohol?
You pick it up and place it in your purse.
Well, I know Dr. Miklos knows about mammalogy, so we'll have to ask her about that. I want to get my...
The pants are intact, but the smell emanating from them is noticeable. It's as if he took a swim in bathtub gin.
Well, what I'm going to
The
guess...
suspenders are damp but intact, and reek of alcohol or something similarly chemical. Dry cleaning fluid, perhaps.
So, here's my guess. He reeks of alcohol. He spends his time... His office is right next to the alcohol preservation lab. I'm going to guess he was drowned in one of the vats. That's unfortunate. But what was he doing up looking in the vats in the first place? And those hairs... Well, you'll just have to wait.
You gingerly place your fingers into Ernie's mouth. Cold and clammy hardly begins to describe the feeling. There's a sickening squishing sound as you probe the moist tissues.
Why would you do that, Laura?
You consider doing the traditional thing and closing Ernie's eyes, but decide that perhaps it's better not to tamper with his body, which, though this may seem cold, is evidence of murder.
Yes, indeed, even though we just took evidence off his body, but whatever. But whoever killed him and then took him and threw him up on here, seems like somebody's displaying these deaths as some sort of threat.
You press on one of Ernie's shoes and see a bit of moisture oozing from the dark, spongy leather. As soon as you remove your finger, the moisture immediately seeps back into the leather.
Well, there's nothing else we can really do here. And it is now 2:15. Oh, Ernie. I'm sorry that this happened. Anyway, you, go this way, and we end it off.
Ach, you are smelling like the brewery, mein Capitan. Either you've been drinking, or you've been eating too many of those grapes.
Sure and begorra. A man needs a little nip from his flask now and then, doesn't
You've been
he?
drinking.
Personally, I do not require the drinking of the alcohol. It would impair my mental and physical skills.
Way to go. Yeah, that's
Ernie
it.
Leach has been murdered!
What was that, lass?
Ernie is dead!
So, you finally come to us to confess. Is that it?
Come on.
Confess? No! I'm reporting a murder!
And you was the first one to find the body again?
Well, I guess so.
Quite a coincidence, Fräulein. I think we should be interrogating you to learn the truth! I've had enough of your lies!
Calm down, Heimlich. If there's any interrogating to be done, I'll be the one who does it. Now then, lass, where did you find the body?
The mastodon room. He's hanging from some mastodon tusks.
Ach, he's probably just sleeping on the job.
No, I'm sure he's dead.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go take a look at him then. If I need to talk to you, I'll find you later.
And so at this point, we start Act 4, which has the creepiest name of all the acts, Museum of the Dead.
Do we smell a promotion in the air? You're doing splendidly.
Alright, so we've done everything we could, and luckily I can save. So, what is going on? What do we know so far? What can we extrapolate? Well, I will do a full explanation of what we know so far next time on Let's Play the Dagger of Amon. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.